and welcome to WhiteDetails. Today is May 30th, 2017. If you're new here, not been here before, not seen the channel before, my name is Jim, WhiteDetails, vehicle detailer in the East Midlands of the United Kingdom. So behind me is a rather special 2007 13,000 kilometre left-hand drive from overseas Aston Martin Vanquish S. It's Berwick bronze. And I'm told it's one of the very last off the production line. One of literally, I think, maybe even the last one. The last run of 50 at Newport Pagnell that were made were part of the Ultimate Edition. The Ultimate Edition, of which all of them were black and had little decals in the side fin, on the fins in the wing. However, my customer, having the experience and history with Aston Martin previously, didn't want the black, didn't want the plaques, and they were able to do a custom build of this exact model. So it makes this car pretty special, to be honest. You can see so far it's had, well, obviously it's full safe wash decontamination. The wheels have been off outside for their cleanse and sort of removal of the brake pitting. Wasn't very much, very clean car, as well as tire removal. And now we're on to the polishing steps. The vehicle's visiting for the white detail, which is a full week's work, a full major paint correction detail to restore as much clarity and depth to the paint as possible, removing the surface scratches and the holograms, buffer trails that have been induced previously, as well as full engine bay treatments, the wheel treatments, coatings, the arches, the brake calipers to be treated, full interior, leather and fabric protection. So the vehicle really will be at its best once again. As I say, it's a very clean example already to begin with. It's one of a few from the same collection that I've had the privilege and honour to be entrusted in working on. Some of the vehicle actually has PPF coverage, the paint protection film on the front bumper, a few bits down the side, the sill on the back end, the stone impact areas, so they're areas to be mindful of during the polishing stages. And of course this week you will see the latest, the hybrid, the Roops hybrid will feature on this video. So let me take you around the car and show you some of the paint defects we're dealing with before we go into the polishing stages, and later in the week the engine bay, interior and the full protection on the exterior and inside. Underside of the wheel arch actually looks quite tacky. Some of it's been sprayed and doused under here previously. Look at all the junk under there. This isn't yet to be touched, so this is as the vehicle's arrived. And now you can really start to see the Berwick bronze shining through, albeit with the surface marring and scratches. These rear wings, it's bizarre, these rear wings are some of the worst areas on the car. If it was the front wings, it probably makes sense in that it could be someone sort of leaning into the engine bay, whereas being here at this location at the back of the car doesn't really add up. But it's this sort of stuff that's robbing the finish, it's killing the clarity, and in the sun it just looks unsightly. With all this removed, we're just going to have the pure clarity of the Berwick bronze shining through. More PPF down here. Nice detail on the filler cap. A few buffer trails going on, very light, more obvious over the top of the bonnet. They kill the big lights. There's a bit of movement going on there under the spots. But when I get this light over the top later on in the video, you'll see more. Carrying on down the offside without the big lights on. All the haze, nothing too crazy shouting out so far. Yeah, again, offside rear wing, the same marks as we saw on the near wing. It just doesn't add up. It looks like someone's been leaning, because they sort of stop on the top edge and more obvious down here, but quite why. Buffer trails and holograms on the top end of the quarter. Lots of haze. So yeah, look under here, it's pretty clean, and you can see actually the jacking points have been protected with a cloth just to stop the rubber pucks marking the chassis at all. And finally, over the top of the boot lid, a bit of buffer trailing going on. So there we are, a quick look around the paintwork. Nothing too scary, nothing too untoward at this time. Do some paint thickness measurements now to check it's all good, and obviously taping up the edges. There's lots of areas in the PPF, especially in the trim, to tape up to protect them against the polishing stage. But for now, I'm going to let it stuck in. Enjoy, grab yourself a cup of tea, and I'll report back later on. Music. So demonstrating the latest purchase, the Roops Hybrid. If you saw vlog 29, the introduction to the Hybrid purchase, sourced through JimWD. Thank you very much for stocking these, my friend Alan. But we have on the Vanquish's rear end, what's been taped here is a rubber seal. But this lip, as we look down the line, you can see the haze and the sort of scorch marks, the scars that have been left over the years as things have been dragged into the boot. So the beauty of the Hybrid, it's a tiny little surface on the DA motion to allow these areas to be polished, to be cut, polished and refined safely. A few hours into the cutting and extremely soft paintwork. Not the easiest beast to work with. You can see the door's been cut, actually cut and polished, yet to be refined. So I'm introducing the third middle polishing set here. So normally the whole idea of the DAs and the forced dual action polishes, you can cut and it leaves a nice enough finish to go straight onto refinement. So you normally would go cut and refine, because the finish is nice enough to be able to warrant that. But the Aston lacquer's pretty soft. It doesn't like to be churned up with the aggressive nature of the compound and the cut. So as a result, cutting it, refining it, the refining stage is too weak, if you will, to clear out the mess that's left behind from the cutting stage. So we're having to cut, then polish to remove the cutting mess, and then the refining removes the polishing mess, which there isn't a great deal of. That's why we're doing initial tests. So the near side front wing here, that was the first test bed, and it was showing micro marring from the DA polishing after the refining, obviously, which we don't want, so we have to introduce the middle polishing set. So looking at the door, you'll probably see that it is hazy, and it is obviously still waiting on refinement. Look at that metallic flake, it's a beautiful, beautiful colour. Pleased with the results so far. There's a bit of marring there, you can see that? Running down here, these lines, there's a bit flashed up at the top a second ago, can't see it now. That's a sign of how soft the paintwork is. That's been induced from my microfiber towel when I've been buffing the residues off, and now we know the extents of what I go to help minimize the risk of contamination and residue control. So at this stage it's not a worry, because it still needs refining, which this will be picked up in the refining stage, but this sort of stuff after the refining stage, can't afford for that to be re-induced. So extra care has to be taken there. I've got the handle, obviously this is yet to be looked at. It's been taped off to polish the surrounding area. This obviously now needs sorting, the handle itself and inside. Probably do some finger action in there to remove the dust for a start, but the swirls. Let's get some light on it. You can see sort of the haze in the bottom lip there, finger swipes, etc. And then of course the mess in the front side of it. But on the near wing, on the near side rear wing, we have a 50-50 taped. It's yet to be polished on either side. So you can see here, even under the panel light squares, the diffused light, you can see how bad the paintwork is here and here. So what I'm going to do is cut and polish this, and then I'll come back in 40-50 minutes time to show you how it's fixed up. So with the cutting and the polishing complete on this section, before I buff the residues that you can see, there's lots of surface dusting and fragmentation of polish that needs to be removed prior to that contact. Otherwise you are only contaminating the microfiber, which then leads to marring being induced, which is what we saw on this door. With that said, never mind. So at this point, hopefully we can see, if I bring in the other light, which I've just lost, if I introduce the other light, well, you don't need the other light. Oh well. There, straight away you can see the original haze and the damage, and all of that has been beautified, rectified with the cutting stage, the polishing stage. Actually, these are some nice marks up here, some nice scratches. But under the LED torch, you'll see haze, 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 clarity, haze, 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 clarity. This has been panel wiped. Obviously, you can see the dividing line there. There's a bit of sort of glue from the tape left over. I'm not quite happy with this yet. That needs cutting again. There's a couple of marks, deeper marks that have been rounded off, and you can see how hazy it is. It's almost got a white tinge to it. That's yet to be cleared up with the refinement stage, and the lip here, that's yet to be done also with the spot pad. So I'm now going to run the spot pad along the arch there, down the bottom, which this is the PPF film down below, so just protecting the edge of the film, up the side of the door, and then under the glass here, run the spot pad in these areas. But yeah, hopefully that gives a good idea, good indication of the correction at hand. Whoa, scary. So far, very, very impressed, and it makes you wonder how I've managed not sure if that's meant to be doing that. Makes you wonder how I managed without before. Anyway, nearly dropped it. Obviously that's mains powered now. Battery lasted 25-30 minutes use, which I suppose isn't bad. I might as well just operate it on the cord, unless I'm somewhere where, like on the interior, or restrictions apply. But this little edge on the edge of the wheel arch, it sort of cut that nicely. It's a breeze to use. It's very forgiving. It's very easy and very soft. So just sort of tickling these edges and softening the corners and the very sort of small, shallow areas which can easily navigate. Same applies for this wheel arch. This has been hit with it. Again, yet to be refined, but we haven't got the right light source here to be able to show it off. So first impressions, I am very impressed. I tell you what will be a good test for it. These door ledges. Your usual sort of scuffs and kicks as people have been in and out, or even just sort of wiping the sill down. Now all this, well, I won't say all of this, but the majority of this will be refined off, polished off, and it should leave a nice finish in here. Yes, you can access these areas with the sort of rotary extension bars and the rotary polisher. The DA offers something that the rotary doesn't, in that of the polishing sort of technique itself. But also down here in these channels, the hybrid might just fit under there nicely, so it's sort of access as well. So taking a look over the door sill after some cutting, this is obviously before all the scuffs and the haze, but as we scooped across to the middle, yes, it's yet to be refined, so it's looking very bloomy, but there, much better clarity. Really impressed with the ease of use. And as we go back across to the before section, Very nice. Beautifully done on the door sills. Cut, refined, looking pretty amazing for a 10-year-old car. So we're going to work around now and do the offside and maybe come back to these pillars. As you can see, these are some pigtails, some DA sanding marks in here as well. Tasty. Before packing away after the first day of cutting, what I want to try and do, I've already done it on the near side, which is the driver's door, but I want to just tackle the door handle. You can see the swirling and the abrasions and how messy it is. And also get into the handle itself. If we can pull some focus on the camera, you can see there's just a few finger swipes and scores which should be able to clean up nicely. Let's do the finger swipes first. To begin, the nozzle's blocked, it's going to squirt, we're okay. Menzerner FG 300. You can feel the abrasives in this, it really is quite coarse. But for the initial cut, it's what we're after, especially by hand. As you can imagine, this is leaving a bit of a mess behind, which is similar to machine polishing. Do anything by hand, areas like this, you need to then follow with a lesser coarse product and a lesser coarse product and a lesser coarse product. But just to reduce and remove the obvious stuff, hitting it with FG 300 before we move on to probably 400 and then Silence Perfect Finish. And it helps if you pop eye, which I'm not. That's looking pretty rough at the minute. So stepping down, let's try some FG 400, same thing. Obviously at this point it helps if you haven't already corrected the surrounding area. So the lights of my fingers up here, it doesn't matter because that's yet to be polished and yet to be refined. Starting to put the gloss back now, but we're going to switch to, go away, Silence Perfect Finish. Let's give it a buff. Shabba. So 3 sets later by hand, the majority of the marks there reduced or removed to leave a much glossier, more attractive finish. So just the outside now to do. Look at that, looking much better. This I might be able to just run over with a refining pad when the rest of the door is tackled later on, obviously yet to be touched. But for the intricate areas like the handle and the lip inside, it's looking smart, and the hybrid, Roops hybrid, really is earning its keep. At this point, with the majority of the machine work complete, tiny bit more machine work to go to polish the nuts. Wheel nuts are a sort of chrome finish and very slightly tarnished. So the plan is set the rotary up with a small spot pad. This is one of the light polish and shiner mate pads. Introducing a bit of polish, lock the speed, make sure it doesn't splatter. Lock the speed on slow and use it as a buffing wheel. One down, 19 to go. So with a little dedication and patience and polish, we have one pretty spent polishing pad, but 20 sharp looking wheel nuts ready to go back on the car. Meanwhile, with a little help from my friend, we're underneath. All this aluminium under tray, it's just going to benefit from. This has actually been buffed already, so we just need to find a buff. So we're going to go all the way down, underneath, through the middle, to the front, and finish it off nicely. Then it's the exhausts and the chrome work before we think about some protection. It is 7:15. At 6:05, I started with the toothpick work. Toothpickery, which is one of the final stages of the job, to remove new and existing polish residue from the panel gaps and the crevices and the window trim and the rubbers and the edges of the paint protection film down the sides, at the back, at the front. Just over an hour spent with the toothpick and the microfiber to relieve these areas with the use of an airline, because of course what we don't want is to pick out the clumps of polish and dust and whatever else it may be with the toothpick, then buff it off. We don't want to be using the cloth to remove the residue that way, so I've got the airline on my shoulder to blast the dust out of the way. So the car now sits, awaiting the interior treatments, the multi-layer paint protection. The wheels have been coated, the underside of the chassis has been sorted, that's all looking fresh and nice. It was quite nice already. There's my little toothpick jar. Toothpicks and cotton buds. And that's pretty much me done for the one day. I'm going to run around the car now with my mobile to send the vehicle's owner a quick 2 to 3 minute video of the day's progress, and then it's onwards to the gym. Leg day. Turning my attention now to the interior. Obviously a vehicle that's very well looked after and only has 13,000 kilometers. Whoops, on the clock. Very little required. So far I have vacked, I have wiped the surfaces. I've wiped the door cards, the console, the back of the dashboard, around the sides, waiting on leather cleanse. Now you can see that the leather's pretty nice already. Very little dirt pickup I think will be seen here. The undersides of the seats flushed with the airline, the usual tricks as you've probably seen in the early videos. So leather and steering wheel to be cleansed and protected, and then we can perhaps look at the interior glass and the headlining.
And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. What a wonderful world. They're really saying I love you.
Interior is pretty much there now. These are the leather wipes from the leather seats, showing a bit of sort of discoloration. For these are the two off the steering wheel. So it's a 10-year-old vehicle with only 13,000 kilometers in the clock. Whether or not that's picking up on the camera how dirty they are, I'm not sure, but a surprising amount. So this is all just sort of drying out now, final stages of the interior before the leather protection is applied later on. looking good and feeling good. One of the jobs I have been eyeing up on this car for, well, from the start really, on these hand-built in England plaques. Under the top right screw here, tiny little bit of film, and then the very bottom left screw here, again a tiny little bit of film. This film, the blue stuff, is obviously applied to these plaques when they are new to protect them, but there's small, tiny amounts trapped under the screw heads. So loosen these two off to retrieve. And I might even do it so that the screw heads are all aligned in the same way. Hashtag OCD.
What a wonderful world.
Nice little job, ready for a polish, and ready for the bin.
What a wonderful world.
Good morning, WhiteDetails. Speaking, yes.
The one my heart has gone to mean I want to wait. Tico, 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 tap. Tico, tick. Oh, tico, 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 tap. Tico, tick. Oh, tico, 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 tap.
Considering this place is swept at least once a day, that's quite a lot of pickup from just doing the interior.
There's a cuckoo in my car.
Another day, another sweep. Vehicle also would benefit from a very final wiping over, so before I do so, again, I am back out with the vehicle blower. Now I'm sure there's some at this point that think that's probably a little bit overkill, but after the week I've had with the soft paint work, I just can't afford to take any more chances. I do want to give it a final wipe over, so that to me now is just ensuring that there's nothing left on the surface. It literally is spotless, and I can just give it a final wipe down before I record some after footage. I would love to take the car outside. It's actually quite sunny out there, but there's a bit of construction work going on at the very front. It's quite windy, and I can just foresee dust settling on the car, and what with the soft paint issues on this and how far it's come now, and it would be such a shame to A, cover it in dust, and B, potentially mark the paint. I'd rather keep it indoors until it's picked up on the covered transporter and it can head back home into Europe for the owner to see it in its true glory. Plenty more interest coming in from overseas. Actually, I had a 458 Speciale from Northern Ireland inquiring, and also there is a Bentley Arnage off the back of the Bentley Brooklands video, which was probably 4 or 5 weeks ago now, from Brussels. So another one that's willing to come across and come overseas for the full treatment for the white detail. The Bentley is booked, I think, for third week in January, and that's pretty much where we are with the diary. So thank you as always for the support. Thank you for the messages and kind words. Just gone 3 o'clock. It is Saturday. It's day 6, so 5.5 days on the Aston. Really does look well. Look at that bronze, copper. Yeah, so I'm gonna actually do some vehicle movements. I have a chili red Mini Cooper SD here, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday next week, and then on my left shoulder outside there is a Valencia orange BMW Z4, which is Monday to Wednesday's job. Do some vehicle shuffling. I will then sign out, lock up, get out of here. I've got some editing to do, got plenty of emails to do. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up down below. It helps the channel to grow, as well as subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, there'll be a button down below saying subscribe. About 12,500 subscribers there now, which is amazing. An amazing effort, considering it was only sort of just before Christmas that it was actually started, the videos, the vlogs. Great reception as always. Thanks for the kind words, thanks for the support, and until the next one, cheers.